How we doing, folks? We are back after a 2 week hiatus, I believe. I don't know. Let me check. Let me look. Because I don't think I did a. No, this is definitely our first podcast in like 2 weeks. Because I did take I did have a Monday off because of, there wasn't any fights on, whichever, like last Saturday, I believe. And so I didn't have anything to talk about or react to. I guess I could have done a MMA Monday, but I really just wouldn't have much material. Probably would have been a boring podcast, so I didn't really want to do that to you guys. But I made up for it if I could get my words out. I did two videos for you guys last week, and I had a video on Monday, which would have been the day that the MMA Monday came out. Then I also had my prediction for the Jake Paul fight, which is this weekend, and I apologize. The leather on my chair is making atrocious noise as it rubs up against my desk. But yeah, so I had two videos out. If you haven't checked those out, go ahead and check them out. Preferably the MMA ref chokes out MMA fighter after getting KO'd, because that video view-wise is not doing as well as the video I uploaded 3 days ago. So go ahead and check it out. But nah, check them both out. I think, honestly, in my opinion, I think I did the editing on the Jake Paul Woodley fight. I just made it a little bit better. It seemed a little bit more entertaining, at least on my end. That's what I was trying to go for, make it more visually entertaining and easier to watch, easier to digest for your eyes. And then the MMA ref, that was pretty much just a vlog, the one on Monday. But yeah, I'm not going to ramble too much about those. You guys can go ahead, check those out if you haven't already. I would highly, highly recommend it. And plus, it would support me, so I'd appreciate it. This past weekend, we had some boxing and we had some MMA. We had the Pacquiao fight, which Pacquiao got beat. I apologize. I can't. It's something. I'm sorry. I'm not even gonna attempt to say it. The Cuban fella, the guy that beat Pacquiao. Props to him. It was a fairly. I mean, it was a fairly. In terms of most boxing lines, if you look at a fight like a Canelo fight, Canelo's gonna be like a minus 700, minus 1200 favorite, anywhere around there. So I mean, Pacquiao was a fairly big underdog, but in terms of like boxing fights like that with a name like Pacquiao, the line was actually fairly close. He was only like a minus 300 some favorite, which in most sports is like a pretty big favorite. But it was actually fairly close if you think about it in terms of like big name boxers. Well, I guess also a lot of these big name boxers aren't fighting the best of the best. They're just fighting, whoever's going to pad up their record. But that's a whole different discussion for a whole different podcast. Pacquiao ended up losing, as you guys saw, but Pacquiao's also definitely way past his prime. He's 43 years old. But then we also had the UFC. I really didn't see much of the UFC. It was I saw most of the prelims. Like, I saw almost all the prelims. I want to say the last fight that I did see was like I guess I missed I pretty much saw a vast majority of the card. I only missed like 3 or 4 fights. But it was a pretty entertaining card from what I saw. I did hear a lot of people say at the main event, co-main weren't super, super exciting. I didn't watch them. I'll probably go back and rewatch them, check them out. But I haven't looked at them, so I can't really speak too much on those. What I can talk about are the fights that I did see. Before we get into that, too, I just saw this on my phone. I wanted to remind you guys. I had got an email. I don't know if you guys get emails from Onnit. Some of you guys probably do, because a lot of you guys came from my Onnit Total Human video that I did. And a bunch of the other Onnit videos I've done, a lot of subscribers. But if you guys aren't on whatever Onnit's email subscription, email list, whatever it is, mailing list, they have this try Alpha Brain for free. And Onnit normally does. You're gonna see this and probably quickly glance over it, because normally, if it'll focus, when Onnit does these, yeah, it's not gonna work. When Onnit does these little giveaways, usually it's like a week thing. They'll give you a 7-day supply, so they'll give you a full pill bottle, which looks like you're going to get like a full-size legitimate Onnit pill bottle, but there's only going to be 7 in there. This actually, they're giving you a 15-day supply, so a 2-week supply, which is considered to be whatever. You're supposed to take 2 of them a day. So it's 30 capsules, which is the exact same as this, which this is literally this is an old, I think I only have, there's 1 left in here. So this is an old bottle I have, but this is a 30 count. This is literally the same that they're giving away. All you have to do is pay shipping. It's free, but you have to pay shipping. And normally, I think if you buy this straight up, it's like $35. And if you get if you subscribe to it, like a monthly subscription, it's maybe like, I don't know, $29. So pretty much you're getting a insanely good deal, especially if you guys haven't tried Alpha Brain. 1000% give this a try. I mean, you're just paying shipping, so at most it's gonna be like what, $5-7 if that. I swear by it. I've made videos about it. I think Alpha Brain is probably my favorite Onnit product that I've taken. It's just a nice thing to take every single day. If you do jiu-jitsu, I feel like it helps me with jiu-jitsu. I feel like it just makes my brain click a little bit more, and I see things I don't know. I just feel like I function at a higher RPM, if that makes sense. Like my brain's just revving a little bit better and it's running a little bit more smoothly. Yeah, exactly. Right here. So if you guys get this normal 30 count bottle, which is a 15-day supply per this email, yeah, right here. I don't know if it's gonna focus, but it does say 30 capsules, whatever, 15-day supply. It's that very small line right there under the big print. I'm not going to sit and focus on that, but it's the same exact thing as this right here, which is $34.95 for one-time only purchase, and if you subscribe to it, it's pretty much $30. And yeah, 30 count. I mean, you could take one a day. I would do that. That's exactly what I did. I didn't even know that this was considered a 15-day supply. I took it as a month supply because there's 30 in here, and I guess the serving size is 2 capsules. I only took one, but I mean, I feel like you could be fine with one. I don't feel like every single day you have to take 2. Like you could just take, most normal days, take 1. If you have something crazy coming up, or you're doing a lot of like just work where you have to use your brain, maybe take 2 that day. I don't know. Maybe I'm off because I just learned that what I had was considered a 2-week supply. But I definitely think it's worth it, especially if you don't have to take 2 every single day. For all you have to pay shipping, 1,000%. And like I said, the deal you're literally getting like what, $30 off of what you would normally pay online. So I would 100% do it if you guys haven't tried the product already, or if you're just you take the product like I do and you want to get a flipping good deal, balling on a budget, you got to respect it. I feel like that's all I really had. The UFC, I was talking to my dad too. The UFC had some cuts. They'd cut Jerome Rivera, who was, I don't think he ever won a fight in the UFC. Won in the Contender Series and then never won a fight. Lost his last fight against Gastelum on the Conor McGregor card. Who else did they cut? Yancy Medeiros was a little bit surprised about that. I mean, Yancy was never anything crazy. Like he was definitely, I think he was probably on a losing streak, and a very, very solid losing streak at that. But I just feel like Yancy was like a company guy, like somebody that they would just like let him fight out his career, or I don't know, maybe just fight till he retires or something. I don't know. But I mean, I don't know. They obviously didn't do that. They cut him. I was just a little bit surprised by that. He never had a crazy UFC career, but he was always a fun guy to watch, and people liked him. Who else did they cut? Ryan Benoit, which Ryan Benoit was like 10-100 or something like that. Very bad record. Lost his last fight against Sakura Adeshev. And who was the other fight? Or who was the other fighter? It was a fairly notable name, I want to say. Justin James, the guy that bet on himself. He bet his last fight in the UFC, before he even got paid, bet his entire, what he would be getting paid, his purse, that he would win the fight. He was his last fight of his contract, and I think it was his last fight or something like that. He was on a terrible losing streak, and he just pretty much bet on himself to win. Ended up losing the fight, obviously. Lost his whole purse and lost his job. So sucks to be Justin James, but yeah, those are the people the UFC cut. I was a little bit surprised. Like I said with the Medeiros, but it makes sense, not anything super crazy. But it's kind of, I kind of wish that they'd be a little bit more vocal about who they cut. I guess obviously it's kind of sucks. So they're not gonna be like up front, and be like, hey, this dude got cut. But it is interesting to see who gets cut and who doesn't get cut, because it was very hard to find. Like if I just look up UFC cuts, I couldn't find it. It would just be things from like a couple months ago, like notable people that got cut. Like I don't even remember who. Like whenever people they cut like like Junior Dos Santos, like a bunch of fairly decent names. I did see that, but when it's normally people like that, they don't. I'll start covering that on the podcast too. Talk about people that get UFC cut, because you don't really see that. And if you don't know they got cut, or if you didn't read an article or watch a video that talk about how they didn't get cut, you probably wouldn't know they got cut. And I don't know, kind of sucks. I'm a nerd, so I like knowing who gets cut and who's on the roster. So maybe just me. But back to the fights this weekend. I'm just gonna zoom through it because, like I said, I didn't see the whole main card. Saw pretty much all the prelims and a good chunk of the beginning of the main card. Sasha Panikov and Ramiz Brahimov. I had bet on Brahimov. I put him in a parlay. Parlay ended up not hitting, but I had bet on Brahimov. That ended up paying off. First round submission, pretty solid. I was thinking it was gonna be a fairly close fight. It was gonna go to a decision, but Brahimov looked pretty dominant for the period, the 2 minutes and 33 seconds that the fight went. Forgot I gotta switch over to podcast number 2 so you guys can see what the move is. Roosevelt Roberts and Ignacio Bahamondes. This was absolutely insane. Probably one of the craziest knockouts I've seen in a while. I remember seeing Bahamondes on the Contender Series. He had that sweet front kick knockout. And Roosevelt Roberts, pretty tough dude. I mean, I think he's a fun guy to watch. He's got decent hands. He's fast. looks like he was probably on his way to losing that fight. Busted up Bayamoto's pretty bad. But got flipping put to sleep, and he was out for a minute. They showed him like probably 30-40 seconds after he got knocked out on the ground, and he still wasn't moving. Like, the dude was out. I mean, the way he got kicked and the way he fell down, yeah, that was insane. That was brutal, but that was pretty sweet to watch. And another crazy knockout. I mean, we started off this card with some pretty solid flipping finishes. Ramiz Brahimaj, the submission. Then you had probably the knockout of the flipping month with Bayamoto's. And then William Knight, just showing what kind of flipping crazy power he has. Fabio Cherant, like, was just walking in. I mean, Cherant looked like, I honestly thought Cherant was probably going to end up weathering out William Knight throughout the entirety of the fight. I had bet on William Knight, and it paid off because I bet on him. But I thought it just, like, once I watched the fight start, I thought William Knight was just going to come out, explode, and knock out Fabio. That it wasn't really the case. He looked a little bit more attentive. Like, he looks like he was trying to throw, but it looked like Cherant was doing a good job of being competitive and countering things and not letting Knight just implement his game plan and kind of be the hammer, if you will. So it looked like it was a back and forth fight, and I figured that Cherant probably had the better striking, more well-versed, skillful striking. And it probably over the course of the fight, if he didn't end the fight in the first round, that Cherant would probably start wearing him out and I don't know, just start breaking down William Knight. But they got into a flipping little exchange, and William Knight literally with his arm completely straight. There wasn't even a bend in his arm, like where you get his shoulder and everything into it. It was just a straight arm. It was all shoulder. I guess getting your back into it, I guess, when you have a bend in your elbow when you throw a punch, because obviously you're not supposed to throw a punch like that. You're supposed to at least have some bend into it. Completely straight, all shoulder, knocked this dude out, put him flat on his face. It was pretty insane. Next fight, B. Malecki and Jose Nunes. I was pretty mad because I bet on Malecki. A lot of people in the betting community were super high on Malecki. Like, that was like the big bet amongst all handicappers, I guess, in MMA that I saw. Like 3 out of 3 people I saw, or 4 out of 4 people. It was like every single person I saw had Malecki. Malecki got knocked out in the first round, so that sucked. Money lost. Then I bet on Brian Kelleher. Brian Kelleher grinded out Plarte to a decision. It just looked like Kelleher was just pretty much better everywhere on the feet. He was lighting up Plarte, and even on the ground, he was slamming Plarte to the ground. Plarte was throwing up some things here and there. It looked like he had some submission defense. He was tough. He wasn't going anywhere. Plarte, I mean, showed his toughness, but it looked like Kelleher was just leaps and bounds better than Plarte. I mean, you saw that pretty much beat him down. Got the unanimous decision. Austin Lingo, Luis Saldana. I was pretty upset about this because I had bet on Saldana. I thought I could be biased. I mean, it was a very, very close fight. I thought maybe that Saldana had done enough to win. I could see a 29-28 or even a draw, but for Austin Lingo to win unanimous decision was a little bit nuts. Again, I'd probably have to rewatch this too because I was being biased. I bet on Saldana, but I was a little bit like when I saw that he won a unanimous decision, I was like, I don't know about all that because Saldana was doing a pretty good job, and it looked like he was, in terms of damage, even though this means nothing because back to the Bayamoto's fight, Roosevelt Roberts did way more damage to Bayamoto's, but Bayamoto's was clearly winning that fight. So I think, not clearly, it was competitive, but he was pulling away. Saldana, my dog. Doorbell ring. My dog. Oh. Unfortunate, little, I don't know what you want to call that, fork in the podcast, but somebody rang the doorbell, and my dog was just doing her job, barking, so that was probably very annoying on your guys' end. I apologize. Trying to figure out where I was at. I lost my train of thought there. I don't know, I was talking about the Saldana fight. But yeah, no, I think even though I think it was talking about damage, I think Lingo was definitely more damaged. Saldana did more damage to Lingo, but I don't know. I think it was a lot closer than the Bayamoto's fight. Like, it definitely seemed like I don't know. It just seemed like I don't know. I'd have to go back and watch it because now I'm off my whole train of thought. Everything's thrown off now. Keeping it rolling onto the main card, Alexandre Pantoja and Brandon Royval. I think this fight pretty much went how I expected. I bet on Pantoja, and I just figured Pantoja seemed like he's a lot more well-rounded. He's been in the UFC a while. He's fought I mean, he's fought some tough dudes. He has a win over the current champion, Brandon Moreno, and I mean Brandon Royval. Both of these guys have fought Brandon Moreno. I guess Pantoja. I don't think. No. Actually, Moreno finished Royval. I think he choked him out in the first. Now I think about it, yeah, because Royval messed up his arm. So I guess Moreno got rid of Royval faster, but I don't know. Alexander Pantoja has a win over Moreno, so that makes things interesting. And it looks like it's probably the fight to happen next. And I think it could be an interesting fight because Pantoja's tough. He's well-rounded. He's got good hands. He's got very solid hands. I think Askar Askarov actually will probably, now I think about it, probably get the next title shot just because he actually has a win over Pantoja, I believe. And let me look that up. And I think he's just ranked higher overall. I'm almost certain he does have a win over Pantoja. But I think, I don't know, the UFC's weird. The UFC likes drama and they like a story, and I think the fact that Pantoja has a win over Moreno would be a big fight that sells. And I feel like Brandon Moreno is slowly kind of turning into a star in his own right, because I feel like now that he's the first Mexican-born UFC champion, there's going to be a lot of people that get behind that and back that. Yeah, he did lose to Askar Askarov about a year ago, but he's since racked up 2 wins. He's got a loss to Davison Figueiredo, but he's got that win over Brandon Moreno right there. And you look at the people he's lost to. He's lost to some tough people. Juicy Formiga. The only people, I mean, I don't recognize the other dude, the William Viana dude, but Askar Askarov, very tough, probably next in line for the title. If you're doing it rankings-wise, he definitely should be next. Davison Figueiredo, former champ. Dustin Ortiz, I didn't see that one. Dustin Ortiz isn't, he's not all that crazy. Never mind. Off of that topic. But Pantoja looks tough. Probably the next guy in line for the title. Won me money there. Vince Pichel, Austin Hubbard, Thud Hubbard. I was all over Vince Pichel. I was telling everybody I know to bet on Vince Pichel. If you looked at Austin Hubbard's record, it was a tough fight. It was a very close fight. I mean, Hubbard didn't. It wasn't like he was getting the snot beat out of him, but Pichel was clearly better in my opinion. If you look at Hubbard's record, I actually wouldn't be surprised if Hubbard was one of the next people to get cut from the UFC, because if you look at his record, he has wins in the UFC, but he's never beat anybody that has a win in the UFC. So like when you go to his record, Pichel's obviously got wins in the UFC, and he's beat tough people that have people like he's beat Jim Miller. Jim Miller has like the most fights, or had the record at one time for the most fights, and I think most wins in the UFC. So he's beat him. Roosevelt Robert has wins in the UFC. He's beat him. Joaquim Silva has, like, all these people have wins in the UFC, and he's beat him. Lost to Gregor Gillespie, which Gregor Gillespie's a flipping monster. It's not anything to be super torn up about. I don't know much about Rustam Khalibov, but 24-4. He's been in the UFC for a couple fights. Oh yeah, he hasn't fought anybody crazy, but he also has a decent amount of wins in the UFC. But then you go to, oh wow, he beat Jorge Masvidal. That's kind of crazy. Let me go back so I can show you Thud Hubbard. I just like calling him Thud Hubbard because it's the flipping most like hick flipping fight nickname I've ever heard. Where is he even from? Colorado, I guess, isn't even super hick state, but yeah, you look at the people he lost to Joe Selecki, Max Roskopf, making his UFC debut. That was the guy that like just quit fighting on his stool. He was his UFC debut. Didn't have a win in the UFC. This was his first UFC win. I almost said Kyla. The Kyle dude, but this dude doesn't have a win in the UFC. If things decide to load, you guys get the point. I'm not going to keep harping on, but you guys can look. Dakota Harry Bush, he was making his UFC debut as well. All these guys are making their UFC debuts, and he beat him. But if you look at the people he's lost to, all these people, Davi Ramos has wins in the UFC. All these people, I don't know. It was just a thing that stuck out to me, and I thought that was kind of not important, but I think it was notable, because if you can't beat somebody that has experience in the UFC, and you can only beat people when they first get there, or you beat people that are just pretty much regional fighters at that, I don't know, doesn't say too much. I don't think Austin Hubbard's, he's tough, he's a tough dude, had that leg injury, but I don't know if he's like a super tough UFC fighter. Like, he's not going to be super competitive. And you can see here, he actually I got him at -115. Lines were actually swapped when I placed, but you can see Pichel was a underdog and ended up pulling through. Sadyukub Karimov, I don't think I said that right. And Trevin Jones, I was all over Trevin Jones. I bet on Trevin Jones. Ended up getting submitted, but I think he was losing statistically when I checked in on the fight, because I was out with some friends. So that's why I didn't see these last 4 fights. But statistically, it looked like Trevin Jones was losing, so he just ended up getting finished sooner. Ended up losing the fight sooner. Parker Porter beat Chase Sherman. I saw a lot of people all over Chase Sherman. I didn't bet on this fight because, again, a lot of the heavyweight fights are kind of like similar to the like when you bite on like any of the women's fights that aren't like the high level women's fights, just like whatever random unranked women's fights. It's just hard to pick because it's not super deep, and it's not like there's not a super in terms of competition. It's not super deep, and there's not you don't really know who's who, and there's not really much spotlight on it because it's not super deep. So you could get somebody that just comes through like a Cyril Gahn that just comes out of nowhere, blows through everybody, and makes their way to the top. And I don't know. Then you get people that are floating around the rankings that have losing records and or have under 500 on their career. So it's just super weird. Chase Sherman, as you can see, was a fairly big favorite and almost minus 200 favorite. Ended up losing unanimous decision to Parker Porter, so there was some decent value there. Mark Madsen and Clay Guida. Didn't see this fight. Controversial, not sure. A lot of people were saying Guida won. Some people were saying Madsen won. Madsen ended up winning. I'd have to look at the fight stats. I could probably pull them up right here and give you guys my thoughts, but I think you got to watch the fight. You can't always base a fight off fight stats. It looks like statistically, it looks like it's a clear win for Mark Madsen. But how much control time does he have? Didn't really say that. But like strikes, everything, he's got him. Statistically, he's got him outmatched completely. But again, that's why you got to watch fights because you can never know. And then right here, I just saw highlights from this, but I mean, Cannonier edged him in total strikes. Barely lost to Gastelum in significant strikes. Neither of them had takedowns, but it is notable that Cannonier didn't go for any takedowns, and Gastelum went for 8 and didn't land any. So I guess based off this, you'd have to give Cannonier the edge because I don't know. I mean, it's tough. The only reason I would say give him the edge is because he technically won this category. He didn't go for takedowns, but Gastelum seemed to go for a lot of takedowns, and going 0 for 8 is definitely a victory for Cannonier. Lost right here in the significant strikes, lost by 7, but one of the total strikes, so it's super close. But I guess if you're basing it off columns, he's 2-1 out of the 3 right there. Did have a knockdown. I did see that. Sat him down briefly for a second, but dude's got a flipping, look at that chin. He's built like a flipping Roblox character. Yeah, he's a tough dude. I mean, you saw that in the Adesanya fight. Significant strikes by target. I don't really care about that. Again, 2 significant clinch strikes to Gastelum's 1, and then Gastelum had him beat by what, 9 on the distance strike. So I don't know. It's pretty interesting. Again, I'd have to go back and watch this because this is a way closer than the co-main event in terms of statistics. So I'm definitely gonna go back and watch this at some point in time. But I don't know. I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts. Who do you guys thought won that fight? Because again, like I said, I really don't know. I think that's all I got for the UFC recap. I'm not going to get into the UFC card this weekend. I do want to talk about the Ultimate Fighter, though, because I want to give a quick shout out to my subscriber and good friend off of YouTube, Art MMA Analysis. He was on my I was seeing him on my videos before. He was talking about how he had Ricky Tercios. It was actually back in my Ultimate Fighter video because that's what we're talking about, the Ultimate Fighter. And I was giving my predictions, who I thought was going to win. And I didn't really have anybody for the bantamweights. I've said this in podcasts before. I didn't really have anyone pick like this is my surefire pick. But if I had to pick someone, it would probably be either Ricky or Vince Murdoch, just because they're the most experienced. Murdoch obviously being out. Ricky's in the finals. And we're gonna find out if Ricky won the Ultimate Fighter next Saturday. I'm betting Ricky. He's fighting Brady Heisted, I believe. I just don't think Brady's like a year older than me, or not even a year older than me, a couple months older than me. And I just think he's a little bit too young. Experienced, and unless you're crazy skilled, and you've gotten your experience elsewhere, like you were a former like really good kickboxer, like a Cyril Gahn type of guy. You're like 10-0, but you have loads of kickboxing, Muay Thai experience. He doesn't have that. He's just like a wrestler. He has a really good wrestling base. He used to wrestle in high school, but I think obviously you can't really count that the same as kickboxing because just grappling with somebody versus throwing punches in there, it's two different things. So I don't know. I just don't think in terms of experience, there's not much experience on Heisted's side or Brady's. I don't know if Heistan. I'm just gonna call him Brady. Not much experience on his side. He could be super athletic and be an insane freak, but again, experience could beat that because if you just know how to beat, again, that just comes with experience. I'm not gonna get into all that. If you guys understand what I'm saying, you know what I mean. Experience beats somebody if they're super if they don't know how to properly use it, or if they just don't get if they don't whatever luck out right away. If like you have insane power and you get out of the first round and you don't really have much outside of insane power, like I don't know like what a good example of that would be, because I can't say Francis anymore. Francis seems to be pretty skilled, but you guys get the whole idea what I'm trying to say. Like Abdul Razak Al Hassan type of dude, like if he doesn't just floor you in the first 5 minutes, then you could probably weather him out and pick him apart. I don't know. I just think overall experience, heart. Ricky's definitely got heart. Like you saw that in the his last fight against Ludwig Shalinian. It was a pretty insane back and forth fight. He's definitely got heart. He's got self belief and confidence. All that stuff I think is intangible. And he just I don't know. He literally has the biggest intangibles in my opinion in fighting: experience, heart, self belief. I mean, there's not much. Though if you have all three of those things, you can have fairly decent skills and it can take you somewhere. Like you don't have to be the most skilled. You don't have to be a flipping Adesanya with striking and a Habib with grappling. If you're fairly well rounded and you can throw a punch, you can grapple, and you can not get submitted, you can stop a takedown. You have some striking defense. You're not just using your head as a flipping punching bag. You're not using your head as your defense. I think if you have those three intangibles: experience, heart, and self belief, that's a tough combination. Not saying that Brady doesn't have those things. I mean, we saw that he's got definitely self-belief. Like he said, that's the whole reason he is where he is. And I guarantee he's got heart, but we haven't really seen that much yet. Like in I guess he did have a pretty tough fight with that one fella that he knows pretty well. But we don't know experience. He definitely doesn't have experience, and he's just young. He's green, so I think that might play against him. I'm gonna go with Ricky. And then Trayshawn, I said Trayshawn was going to be my pick to be the Ultimate Fighter. He made it all the way to the Ultimate Fighter, the finals. He was supposed to be fighting this weekend, but he has a tear in his knee. And Gilbert's actually going to be stepping in, so that'll be interesting. I think Gilbert actually probably has... I think Trayshawn would have beat Brian. I think Brian's a tough dude, but I think it would have been similar to the Gilbert fight. I don't know, someone like that, they're not super... They don't use their size to their advantage. I mean, they're good with the teep kicks and being long, but they don't use the range very well. They don't use their footwork to maintain range. And if you don't do that against Trayshawn, he's going to cut you off and he's going to land bombs. And that's what he did against Gilbert. And I think this fight for both guys, honestly, is better because Trayshawn is a bad matchup, in my opinion, for both those guys. Again, I'm probably being biased because I like the guy. He's my pick to win. But in all seriousness, if I'm being 100% honest, I think for both guys, this is a better matchup. Each other is a better matchup for each other, because they're both kind of big, long guys. They use long-rangey techniques. They use teeps. They use jabs, all that kind of stuff to keep you at range. And they have good grappling. They have solid grappling. They can take you down, and they can submit you. So it's interesting. It is tough. I don't really know who I'm going to pick to win. I don't know. I kind of want to say Gilbert. I want Gilbert to win just because, he would be he's the third brother, or he's whatever out of his family. All three of the boys in his family, all of them have been on the Ultimate Fighter, and none of them have won. He's actually made it the farthest, I believe, out of his brothers. I don't know if he's had a brother that made it to the finals, but it'd be cool to see him win. But it's also kind of weird if you win because you got in there because the guy that knocked you out got injured. So I would set up a good fight in the UFC, Gilbert versus Trayshawn, but it's like, why would you also do that fight? Because it was a very clearly one-sided fight. Like, Trayshawn just did what he wanted with Gilbert until he knocked him out. I don't know. It's a tough situation, but I'm going to go with Gilbert. That's my pick for Ultimate Fighter. For next Sunday as well, the Jake Paul versus I just realized I'm just chilling on my YouTube channel. That's hilarious. For the fights, though, for the boxing fight, you guys know who I got. Go ahead and check out my prediction video if you haven't already. I think that's going to wrap up this episode today. Go ahead and check out the Total Human. Go to their website. I'll link it in the description. I can find a way to link this email. Definitely go ahead and do it because I mean you're literally getting a $30 off value. You're literally almost getting it for free. So I would definitely look into it. That's all I got though. If you guys have anything for me, go ahead and drop in the chat. But it doesn't look like I got any concurrent viewers right now, so that's a little bit depressing. But yeah, if you guys have any ideas, video suggestions, things you guys want to see me do, let me know in the comment section below, or any of my videos. Or if you guys have any criticism, critiques you guys want to make, I'm all ears. I'll take it. I'll listen to it. Constructive criticism. Don't just be like, hey bro, your videos suck, delete your channel, because that doesn't really help me. But you may or may not be lying. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. That's all I got for you guys. If you guys did enjoy, please be sure to drop a like. If you guys haven't subscribed already, go ahead and subscribe. All the stuff I'm saying, it's free. You guys can support me for free. You guys can give me the likes. subscribe, share my stuff. It helps me grow an audience, grow reach, and I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. It's free to you guys. It's absolutely invaluable to me. And I'm really, like I said, I say this every single video, every single podcast. I'm really trying to make something out of this. So anything you guys do for me, I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. It means the world. Like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, I'll catch you guys later.